Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica and even another episode on our Atomiswave to Dreamcast game series. And today we're going to be taking a look at one of the weirdest beat-em-ups that I have ever played, and that is going to be the following, Demolish Fist. And I've actually talked about this game on the channel once before a long time ago, but because it has been brought over from the Atomiswave to the Dreamcast, I want to come back around and talk about it again, because this is both a competent beat-em-up and the weirdest game I've ever played. Before I explain why it's so weird, if you could do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, ring that notification bell, it definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we have a Patreon link down there as well. But Demolish Fist is an awesome game. It is also a very weird game, and it gets weirder the more you play it and the further into the game you actually get. Because when you first start, it's basically just your standard 3D beat 'em up. It's a really good version of the 3D beat 'em up and one that you really want to play and get good at, but you don't notice the weirdness right at the start. You have 4 characters, basically your standard beat 'em up style thing. You have a female character, you have 3 different guys, one of them is going to be powerful. That's basically like every beat 'em up game in existence. And right here in the beginning, in the first stage, you're going to go into the game. It looks good, it sounds good, the character models are good for what the Atomiswave could pull off, and the fact that it's running on Dreamcast is awesome because it's great to have another beat-em-up game on the platform. But you're going to see here, I'm going to pick this brick up and I'm going to brick my enemy right in the face. And this game has a huge mechanic of just picking things up, and you'll see later, although really I can't time trying to get under these girders, I just keep getting hit by them. But we picked up bricks. Just wait and see what else we actually do pick up, because that's one of the most hilarious parts of the game. But you'll see here, we go into basically what is punching bullet time, and as many times as you can mash the A button, we are able to hit our enemies without them being able to attack us. And I like these little vignettes in between scenes. We take this elevator down and we're going to be able to fight more people. The game is strung together in a way that makes it feel like it was going to come to a console because it just has that feel. But you thought picking up a brick was impressive. That guy just picked up a giant slab of concrete, and now we're hitting them with a mallet that makes the weirdest sound I've ever heard. I don't know where they got the sound effect from. It kind of sounds like they're tapping 2 pool balls together, for lack of a better term. And now we're fighting the mangoes. Kind of look like Cupid dolls, but they fly around, they make a squeaky noise, they try to attack you with their butts and stomachs when they're not spitting acid at you. And, I mean, it's a thing, it exists, it's weird, we're switching characters. But now you're starting to see how strange this game actually is, because we're just on the second screen in the first stage, and we have these giant baby angelic things flying around trying to butt bounce us. But I do love all the different intercut things here. We have the boss coming out. He's going to introduce himself with a guitar riff, and it just makes you smile when you play this game. It's weird, it's strange, it doesn't make much sense, but that's kind of the charm in the game. You're always waiting to see the next weird thing the game's going to show you because you know something else strange is coming right around the corner. And these boss fights, I mean, your first boss has basically what looks like a V8 engine strapped to his back, and he's got this giant metallic fist, power arm that he's going to hit you with. But managing that special meter is going to be huge because the boss had about a third of his life bar left, and by accurately using that power up at the right time, we're going to be able to take the boss down to 0 health and defeat him without having any risk to ourselves. So this game is definitely resource management heavy. You don't want to use your power attacks in the wrong spot. What I'll let you do now is just listen to a little bit of the game because I do love the soundtrack. It's got this clearly early 2000s street vibe thing going on. But I'll be back in about a minute and we'll talk a lot more about Demolish Fist because some of the weirder stuff is coming up in just a second. But let's change characters and you can listen from here. Be right back.
Go!
And yeah, that's right, he just picked up a full-sized motorcycle over his head and threw it at his opponents. And still, again, that's not the biggest thing we're going to be picking up in Demolish Fist and using as a projectile. But we're getting bigger, we're at least at motorcycle stage. And I love that power-up, we're just knocking motorcycles left and right in bullet time. But what other game do you have a giant forklift battle in? In some games you fight a forklift, sometimes maybe two. Apparently fighting forklifts is a video game thing, but now we have 6 and they're doing this rhythmic dance around the stage. And it's just, what's controlling them? And why do their own batteries cause them to explode? Things that you can't explain that Demolish Fist is just going to show to you. And that's why this game just feels so special, because it is a really good beat 'em up game. Is it the best 3D beat 'em up ever? No. Is it in like the top 10 for me? Definitely. Is it the weirdest one? Absolutely. And now we're fighting what looks kind of like Mr. X crossed with a tyrant from the Resident Evil series, and let's just pick up this warhead and throw it at him. It makes a little tiny explosion, which you would think would be a lot bigger, but it just isn't. But now moving on, we are fighting autonomous forklifts, but now we're fighting an entire manned Hummer. It's got different exhaust on it. That guy just gave like a cowboy call. Nothing makes any sense. Nothing fits in this game. It's like they just threw every single thing they could think at into the game, and they're just like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Pick up motorcycles, pick up big boxes, fight trucks. It's a thing. I mean, even in Dead Rising, you're going to fight an armored truck. Apparently, you just fight trucks. Never seen anybody do it in real life, but in Demolish Fist, totally a normal thing that you're going to want to do. But that's why this game is just fun. I love games that are strange, and I've done an entire series on this channel about strange games. So for me, it's definitely something that I appreciate and enjoy. If you don't like weird for weirdness sake, you might not love this game as much, even though it is a competent beat 'em up. But again, this is a game that never had a home port, and I talked about it a long time ago in my unported playlist video series. But I guess now it doesn't qualify for that series because thanks to MegaVolt 85 and getting the Atomiswave ROMs to boot onto a Dreamcast, it is now a ported game. Granted, we might not have a case and art for it, but you can put this on your optical disc emulator and play it. And like I said, that motorcycle wasn't the biggest thing we were going to pick up. We picked up a full-size limousine and threw it over our heads. I'm not a big gym person. I'm not out of shape. I'm not in shape. But I certainly know no matter how much I lift, I'm not picking a full-size car over my head and using it to fight people, especially those strange Cupid doll-looking characters. And here we go, again, just that early 2000s arcade sort of thing, being we need to have a woman in the game, and she needs to be wearing next to nothing. So this game definitely has a lot of those tropes in it, but it's just a game that feels like something that isn't going to exist again, because it could only exist in its time and place. And I feel like the early 2000s are when game developers are just like, screw it, let's make it weird. People like that. I mean, they were doing it in the 90s too with the Chowaniki series, so it's not like this is exclusive to the 2000s, but I feel like a lot of these era games, especially on PlayStation 2, some of the Japanese developers just went wild with it. But that's Demolish Fist. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I love chatting with you guys. I highly recommend you check this game out. It works well in an optical disc emulator or in an emulator itself. But we will be back on Friday and Sunday and Tuesday with more videos, and we'll keep making these Atomiswave to Dreamcast videos so long as we have games to talk about. And we're about out. But enjoy beating up a few tyrants from Resident Evil, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Go.